All right. Hey, everybody. I wanted to, they're saying, they're saying to put some series up on social media, see what kind of content people want to listen to. I'm not really sure what I'm doing. I have to be real honest with you. I'm not a professional. I don't think I speak all polished. Shit, half the time I have a word for it and I don't even know what word I'm trying to bring up to my mouth. But I'm smart and I've had a lot of life experience, a lot of fun life experiences that I know a lot of people may not have been able to have. And so I like to share. And I've been told to share. Anyway, so I was thinking this morning about, and I hope you guys can hear me because I have no clue where my microphone is. You see, I'm not prepared. I'm not a content creator like that. But maybe I will be. I don't know. We'll see. Let me come closer to make sure that you guys can hear me. Okay. Because that would be really horrible if I recorded this whole video and went back and listened to it and you couldn't hear anything. And I know that happens. I know that happens. So I wanted to talk about 2019. 2019 was such an energetically tumultuous year for me. So I started off the year, I was on Facebook. I had a really big following on Facebook in the spiritual community because I myself had been just fresh started my deconstruction. I probably was only 2 years in. And I started the group originally because I was lonely. I was by myself. I'm learning all this information, learning about stuff called sacred knowledge. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Let me see if anybody else knows what's going on. And I don't think that I made that group to become a leader. I didn't. I made that group to have some camaraderie. And somehow, some way, I ended up being a leader and today a coach. That was not the intent. The intent was literally, I was by myself and I was needing, I brought both the same things down here. And I was needing some people to be with me, to ask some questions to hear about what they were thinking. And so we're about 2 years in 2019. And I've accepted this leadership role because I have to be honest, most of my life I have been in a leadership role. And the top of 2019 was when I realized that I had become atheist. And the years leading up to that, I was trying to merge spirituality and Christianity together because I was too afraid to let it go. There was still something intrinsically inside of me that had a fear of letting Jesus go all the way. And so when I finally started looking at myself and my moves that I was making and just where I was going, how I was moving, that was the most important thing. How I was moving was in ways that were very independent. Ways where I wasn't consulting anything outside of me, nothing. And I was living good and I was making better decisions for myself, happier decisions for myself, more aligned decisions for myself. Not necessarily decisions that everybody agreed with. I started feeling a power inside of me. And I think that was, we got a lot of motorbikes around here. I think that was one of the first signs that I took that the path that I was embarking on was the right path for me. I'm definitely a child. A lot of people that are in spirituality were children that always knew. I was absolutely the child that I always felt this way. I always knew. This is not new for me. The expression of it outwardly was new for people because they had only knew me as the girl that was in the Kojic church, that was singing all the time, that was serving all the time, and getting nothing. I'm gonna tell you that, by the way. I was heavy into children's ministries in church, and I didn't even have children, and I still don't have children. But the time and the resources that it took for me to do that. And I'm like, what for? I don't even feel good about it. You know what I mean? When I stepped into a more spiritually aligned practice belief system, that was when I started feeling a power that felt familiar, a power that I had never felt before on this earth, and a power that made me feel like not only was I doing the right thing, but it made me feel right. It made me feel like I was right. It made me feel like I was good. It made me feel like I was strong. It made me feel like I was capable. It made me feel like I was smart. And it made me feel like nothing about me was a sin, was wrong, was flawed, was broken. That power was so yummy and delicious, I wasn't letting that go. And I fully committed myself to it in 2019. And I publicly denounced that I was not following a Christ. And that, to be honest, I did not believe in it. And when I really sat and thought about that, I don't think I ever believed in a Christ. I was trained to believe in a Christ. I was feared to believe in it. I never for myself believed in a Christ. And I had even gotten baptized. Like maybe I was 23, 24. I've been baptized. I'd have the evidence of speaking in tongues. I had all that, right? And it was kind of like, and I knew for sure. I was not confused that I never fully bought into a Christ. As I grow up, as I learn more, and I learn more about myself and get diagnoses, right? And I will talk about that. If you guys ever want to know about that, remember I said at the top of the video, if I say a topic that you want to know more about, please let me know, because I will make a video about it. But I don't know what you guys want to know about, but I'm willing to talk about it. Whatever you want to know about, pretty much, I'm willing to talk about it. And but anyway, as I did that, I realized that I was a person that could mimic. I could mimic. And I watched people in the church to learn how to behave like the church. But it was never because it was something inside of me. I mimicked it. I mimicked that and can still mimic that. And then you'd be thinking, oh, she's so anointed. No, I mimicked. Like so many adults and children mimic in the church. And I knew from me myself that the power was not activating in me because of how I felt. I felt, and I want to keep moving. And maybe I'll make another video talking about just how I felt, because I think that, when you reflect back to those moments, and you really can remember like what I was thinking in that moment, where was I? And I have so many of those moments that it would take a whole nother video to do that. And I would love to do that. Maybe one day that'll be an idea, something to think about. Because I think it's helpful for people to understand what was going on in your head. Because people think that what's going on in their head, they think that it's unique to them. They think that nobody else is going through that, and that's not true. That is so not true. More people than what you realize have thought, considered, moved, believed in ways that you think that only you have. More people have done that than you realize. More, I'm telling you, way more people. And that was what my group, the group I was telling you guys about on Facebook, that was what that group showed me. Like when I started hearing other people speaking, and I'm like, oh man, you think the same thing? Or when I would make videos, and people were like, oh my God, I thought the same thing. Like there was so much solidarity in that group. I will always be appreciative of that, because that group really did, not only did it catapult me, but it connected me to some of my greatest friends that I have still spiritually. And so 2019 was that year for me that I publicly was like, this, I absolutely am not following this anymore. I'm absolutely denouncing that I am a believer. I'm denouncing that I am saved, sanctified, filled with the precious Holy Ghost. I just denounced. And for me, my life has been so much fun, and so full, purposeful, intentional. mine. My life has felt like mine since then. And what does that mean? It feels like every move and every decision that I made, it was because I made it because it made me happy. I didn't make it because I felt like an authority over me said that this is the right thing to do. Because at that point, I felt like it was people pleasing. That felt like people pleasing to me. And I know that, if you're a person that believes in a God, you position that God as the ultimate, as the authority, as the leader over you, as the boss over you. Well, I had redone my framework. So I no longer felt or feel like there's anything over me. I don't feel like anything's over me better than me. And I also feel like in that same fact pattern of choosing something because something outside of me said that it was better for me, right? Who knows what's better for me than me? Who knows? And not even knows, but who cares what's best for me better than me at all times? Even your parents don't do what's best for you at all times. They do what's convenient for them quite often, as they should, because you're a part of their life, until you get to a big girl, big boy age where you can make your own decisions. But there are so many moves and decisions and considerations that parents have to make for the family, not just individualized for you. But for me, I felt like I was making individualized decisions, having individualized thoughts and creativity to navigate, to explore, and to even merge and make hybrid decisions. Like, okay, I don't just have to make this one decision. I can do this and this. I felt like I didn't have to pick anymore. And that was more in alignment with my abundant energy. The energy of Christianity for me was very sacrificial. And I no longer aligned with that. I don't sacrifice much. I'm gonna tell you. In fact, I reframe sacrifice. I think the biggest thing that most people, if you've been following me, I have lost 140 pounds and I have 50 more to go. And then hopefully we'll work on skin removal and all that jazz, right? However, that's about all that I was willing to, and because I don't really feel like I sacrificed food. I didn't. I sacrificed, and when I say the word sacrificed, I mean like slaughtered, like held a ceremony for it, like, hey, it's time for you to go, right? I sacrificed some eating patterns that needed to be sacrificed, right? It's not a sacrifice, basically, like, it's not the sacrifice of wanting and desiring something and refusing yourself something. It didn't feel like that. It felt, and it might even feel like I'm saying the same thing. But if you understand what I'm saying about, it was a feeling. It was a different sacrificial feeling. I didn't feel like I was making that sacrifice for anybody else. I felt like I was making an investment more than a sacrifice. It felt like an investment in myself. It felt like rewiring and reworking how I view food, how I view eating, how I view how much I was eating, how I cared for myself. Even the words that I use, sometimes a lot of fat people will just say, I don't care, I'm gonna eat this right now, I don't care. That does not come out of my mouth anymore because I do care. And reframing and reinvesting on how I cared for myself. And it's crazy because I've always been the big girl that dressed beautifully. And there are a lot of big girls on social media and they smell good and they look good, and baby, you got it going on, because I had it going on and we had it going on, right? But there's still a level of neglect that's there. Anytime you can continue to overfeed in ways that long-term won't be good for you. And not only that, I travel. And I remember this one time I traveled to Paris and I barely could fit in the shower. I remember when I traveled to Paris and realized there were no elevators. I was like, goddamn, you're a little too thick for Paris. Like, next time you go back, honey, you need to make sure that you can, comfortably travel. And because I love traveling in Europe so much, and Europe is not set up for fat people. It's not set up for the fat American. It's not supposed to be. And I appreciate that it's not. There's so many reasons why it's not that I could clearly see over there, right? But little things like that, little micro things like that, let me know, like, this is the quality of life that I want to have. I'm a traveler. I love traveling. I travel pretty much every quarter I'm somewhere. And you guys even know that I live internationally. I love being in places that are not, I just like traveling. I like moving around. and just I love it. And I still love food. I love trying different foods and more foods and stuff like that. But like I said, just reworking and reinvesting on how I eat the food and when I eat the food was beneficial for me. But it was my choice. It was my decision, and it felt different. And I learned differently what sacrifice meant, right? And I just don't live a sacrificial life. I live a very abundant life. And so my current belief is much more and not or. Does that make sense? It's more like you can do this and this and this and this and this and this, and as much as you want, infinite. There's no cap. There's no max. When you get ready to stop, you stop. But there's nothing outside of you saying stop. There's nothing outside of you saying don't go there. There's nothing outside of you. If I say don't go there, it's because I don't want to go there. It has nothing to do with a God outside of me or a deity saying don't go there. Nothing can tell me don't but me. Nothing can tell me no but me. And so for me, that worked better for me. It felt better for me, and it gave power back to me. And I needed that because they did wonders for my self-esteem. It did wonders for my identity. 2019 was crazy, and I did that at the top of the year. Towards the end of the year in 2019, and we're getting somewhere. You're traveling with me somewhere, so make sure you're following the story, okay? About August of 2019, I did an ayahuasca ceremony. The best, worst experience of my life. If you want to know more about my ayahuasca ceremony, let me know below, and I will make a separate video for that. And then, was it shortly after the ayahuasca? I can't recall if it was during or shortly after the ayahuasca, like slightly before or after. I can't recall, but I had reconnected with an ex. That year was great. That did not last long. Maybe 6 weeks. Maybe 4 to 6 weeks. It did not last long. Never. I'm not a circle back queen. I can. If I'm bored, I will. But I'm not a circle back queen. That's just not me. Congratulations to those who do and have found success. And I'm not telling anyone not to do it. I'm saying as for me in my house, we ain't gonna circle back much. And that was terrible. And I know you guys have heard that story before, and if you want to hear that again in more detail, that ex, that was the location, that was the house, that was the place I was when I had my relapse of the blood disorder, the autoimmune TTP, thrombotic, thrombocytopenic purpura, and instead of him taking me to the hospital, I had to Uber myself to the hospital, and was there for about 2 weeks because TTP is an autoimmune. You down for a little bit. If anybody knows about autoimmunes, it's a pretty serious one. I was diagnosed in 2007 at the age of 24, and I've had 4 relapses since then. I'm very grateful. I had taken a medicine that keeps it in remission for up to 8 years at a time. So that's why I've had one 8-year chunk, and then 2019 happened, and so now we're at the 7-year mark this year. This is 2026. We're at the 7 mark this year. I feel good. So, and I'd love to talk about TTP in relation to my faith. So if you guys want to know more about that, please let me know. But when I got out of the hospital from that situation of TTP, it changed something, because that was the first hospitalization relapse that I had done under my own power, under my own authority, outside of Christianity. Because remember, at the top of the year, I denounced. And so I find that when people get into really serious situations, often financial, but that's not enough for me. It's just not enough. It's not enough to turn me around and send me back. But when it comes to your health and your life, and when you're sitting on the edge and the balance of, who are you going to choose? And I chose me. And I was proud of myself that I walked out of that hospital and I never evoked anything outside of myself. I told myself what I was going to do. I talked to my own cells. I talked to my own blood. I talked to everything in my body and commanded it and told it what it was going to do. And did I feel what difference did I feel? I walked out of the hospital the exact same way that I had done before, but I walked out this time with power. I felt it. I walked out different. I walked out different that time. I walked out of there different. I walked out of there so fucking strong and feeling so sure of myself. I quantum jumped into, baby, I think you got it. You remember when we were in church and they would be tearing for the Holy Ghost, and if you didn't speak in tongues, they'd be like, you didn't get it, come back tomorrow. When I walked out of that hospital, I said, baby, you got it. You got it. You got it, girl. You got it. And I felt so good about that. And probably about 4 to 6 weeks after I got out of the hospital, I began traveling. And I bought a one-way ticket to Europe. And I stayed in Europe for months. I stayed in Europe until COVID. And I needed to evacuate the EU to get back into the US borders before they closed the borders. I came back into the United States 10 days before they closed the borders. I couldn't have even imagined being in the EU unprepared as I was. Like, I was great for backpacking, great for traveling, sightseeing, but to stay there for a year or 6 months to a year and not even really understanding what was going on, because that was at the top of COVID. So really nobody even there was no name. But when I left the EU, they hadn't even put the name COVID on it. It was just a virus. So I definitely am grateful that I followed myself. I heard loud, almost like a voice, it's time to go home now. I was like, oh, literally that night, bought a full fare ticket. And I did buy a round trip ticket just in case. I bought the round trip ticket, went home, and I was like, all right, if it's nothing, I'll come back. But if it's something, keep my buns at home, right? It was something, kept my buns at home. I still moved around during COVID though. I did, I still moved around with that mask on. Flights was cheap, I was gone. But the last place that I was before I came back to the United States, okay? So we started at the top of the year, 2019, me denouncing. End of the year doing ayahuasca, circling back with an ex, being ultimately betrayed and abandoned and left to die by that ex. But I had me. Got myself to the hospital. I didn't need you to school. Got myself to the hospital. Talked and worked and delivered myself out of that hospital, right? Got out feeling like all the power. Took myself to the EU. Now it's February. Yes, February 2020. And I was in Croatia, Split, Croatia, which is such a beautiful city. But the city was still kind of asleep. Croatia is a summer city. When it's warm, there's markets, there's all kinds of stuff. But in the fall, winter, things are closed. You can walk by store after store after store, gates down, closed, because they make their money during the high seasons. And so, but it was still very peaceful, very beautiful. Some days were really nice, really comfortable, didn't need to just have anything but a jacket, and some days were a little chilly. But I could see it from my apartment. I could, 500 feet from the Adriatic Ocean. And so I had been contemplating being led to unbaptize myself. And I did a lot of work. I did a lot of I did a lot of journaling. I did a lot of thought. I did a lot of contemplation, a lot of questioning, a lot of inquiry, right? Within myself of how I wanted to do it. Not if I wanted to do it, because I knew instantly that I wanted to do it, but how I wanted to do it, to make sure that it was as sacred as the intention of the first time. And so I wrote a note to myself, and I'm gonna post the video. If you guys want me to, let me know if you want to see it. If you don't want to see it, I get it. But I wrote a note to myself, and I read it to myself. I remember going to the beach, and I wore all white, ceremonial white, and I had my notebook. I wrote a beautiful letter to myself, and of course I had music playing. I love music. So the music's playing, the ocean is playing, and I just wrote a letter to myself, a promise. I wrote promises, I wrote vows to myself of how I was always going to take care of myself. Oh, I'm getting emotional. Of how I was always going to take care of myself. How I was always going to put me and my emotions first. and how I wasn't going to judge my emotions or villainize my emotions or demonize my emotions. How I was just going to do right by me. How I was going to make decisions that made me happy. And I think that even speaking this out loud to you guys, saying that out loud to you now, those vows have grown more intently because now I'm to the place where I'm going to be who you want to be. In all times, in all places, in all situations. I'm never going to insert you in situations and then cower. I'm never going to insert myself in situations or with people or in scenarios or in activities or events and change who I am so that I feel safe. I'm never going to do that to you anymore. If I cannot show up and if you cannot show up exactly who you are, as bold as you are, as crazy, as quirky, as awkward, I'm going to say some weird shit because that's just who I am. And if people and if situations around don't feel like the feeling that you know that feels loved, that feels accepting, that feels joyful and happy, and that feels like, well, shit, we're weird too. We're going to say weird things too. If the situation doesn't feel like that, then I give myself freedom to remove myself. I give myself freedom to not remove myself if I don't want to. If it's a place where you need to stay to manifest something, if it's a place where you need to stay to strengthen a muscle, I give myself permission to be and to evolve as much as I need to in every situation. I gave myself permission to do that. I wrote vows. And I read them to myself and I cried just like it was worse then. Y'all boo-hooed. I'm sitting on that beach in Croatia boo-hooing, but nobody's there. But I didn't care if they were there or not. I'm bawling. Because it meant so much to me. It meant, I didn't cry that day that I got baptized in the church. But that day, because I was unbaptizing myself out of the name of Jesus, and I was rebaptizing myself in the name of Kelly Marisha. And that's the beginning of my brand, actually. I went to Kelly Marisha. On everything, on all social media, it's Kelly Marisha, right? And I've been figuring it out in front of you guys because I have fun figuring it out. I think figuring it out gets villainized because I think people are rushing to get to a destination. They're rushing to stabilize. They're rushing to just solidify things. And I'm like, man, you guys miss the journey. You miss the funness of trial and error. You miss the funness of working things out. You miss the funness of change. You miss that. And I think a lot of people are scared of change, or if you grew up with a lot of change, sometimes you just want some stability. Like, hey, wait a minute, I grew up and changed my whole life, right? But I've been working it out in front of you guys, and I love it. I'll make no apologies. No matter what you see online, you can see a whole lot. I hope you do. I hope you do see a lot online because I want my life to be an example of evolve as much as you need to, as often as you need to. I want that for as many of you who want that for yourselves. Because it is fun. I live a fun life. I live an enjoyable. I live in that energy of evolving as much as you need to feels abundant because I can be whoever I want to be. I don't have to choose. What I am is a God to myself. I'm not a God to anybody else. I'm God of my own life. So I am God. When I speak of a God, if I ever say a God, I don't ever mean anything outside of me. I don't ever mean a man. I don't ever mean a woman. I just mean me. And then this body that I have is that of a woman, and I love it. I love it, right? But who I am, my consciousness, my essence, is neither male nor female. It just is. And I get to express that because it is a lot. It is a piece of God. It is a fragment of whatever the big thing is, right? Just expressing itself as me, through me. And I love that for me. I have such a good time exploring that. But unbaptizing myself and rebaptizing myself was a pivotal crossroad for me because this video is, and I'm gonna tag the young lady, and I wish I could have remembered her name. I wish I could say it in the video, but I'm gonna tag her. This video was inspired by a young lady that I saw on my feed the other day, and I commented under hers. She was saying something to the effect of, what if we sold our soul to the entity that is Jesus? we talk about people selling their souls to demons or selling their souls to the devil. But what if evoking the name of Jesus and accepting Christ was us selling our soul to Christ? I've also been seeing a lot of people critically just thinking about, what has it ever done for me, and really being able to sit back and say it hasn't done much for me. I'm still in the same place. I'm still sick. I'm still this. I'm still this. And I think for me, because I commented back to her video, the original lady that I was talking about, commented back to her video about me unbaptizing myself, and it just unleashed the thought of 2019. And that was why I wanted to share that to you, because 2019 was the precursor of me unbaptizing myself. Like it was the beginning of me really unraveling the deconstructing portion and unraveling it out loud for everybody to see. I didn't want to be, I am definitely an expressive person, and as I get older, I'm not so outwardly expressive for people. I express in different ways, but at that time, that was the way that I wanted to express it. And I'm so proud of the way that I did express it. I formally, this ain't it. Don't look for church girl no more. I'm not her, right? And it got me in thought. It just really got me in thought. I mean, again, I was talking about other people's videos, really just critically thinking for themselves of if Christianity is the path for them, or really questioning. Because remember, we were taught not to question. We were taught not to question. I always questioned. But that was why I always knew that I can really sit here at 42 and tell you that I never was sold out. I never bought into it. I never was so consumed in the delusion of it that I really felt like it was right. I went through psychosis. If you guys want to know about that, I'm going to bring my college friends online, because they were there and they witnessed the psychosis. So let me know if you ever want to hear that story. I guess I do got some things to talk about. I be feeling like I don't have anything to talk about, but maybe I do. I've actually talked about it before, but you guys let me know if you have any new people and say, yeah, I want to hear about it, but because I have about 2 or 3 friends that I can bring on and talk about, what they saw, what they witnessed, and how it made them feel. Because psychosis is not just personally to you. You can make other people feel like the fuck, And so just for people that witnessed it, it's a pretty interesting season in my life that I love to hear their comments about it. I do. I literally live right behind a restaurant. It's like an event space. So it's about to start smelling good in a minute. And unbaptizing myself was powerful. Deconstructing has been powerful. And stepping into this power of who I am has been powerful. Some people call me a witch, and I'm okay with that. A lot of people call me mentor. I really like that too. Coach. God mom. I'm a lot of God moms. Godmother. One of my babies calls me GM. She know who she is. GM. Love her. And I'm grateful for all of those titles, because I feel seen with all of those titles. And I like that. I don't mind being perceived, even if it's being perceived in a way that I don't think of myself. That's okay. I enjoy seeing what other people think about me. I enjoy that, because it lets me know how you're interpreting my art, because I feel like what I do is art. I feel like who I am and who I express at any given time is something I've curated myself. It's art. And I love hearing what people see when they view it, when they view me, when they experience me. So anyway, I think that's the end. If there's questions you guys want to ask me, please feel free to do so. Let me pull this closer. Any questions that you want to ask, ask. Pretty much an open book. I'll pretty much talk about anything. If I'm ready to talk about it, I'll talk about it for sure. I don't have any advice. I don't have any closing remarks. All I have is me. All I have is my experience. All I have is paid opinions, paid coaching, paid. I don't offer unsolicited things often. I try to, because ultimately I'm a teacher. Come from a family of teachers, by the way. And so sometimes things do slip out, but I really do try, because at the end of the day, everybody's on their own journey. And people don't ask you to interfere in their journey. They didn't ask you to. If they want you to, if they ask you to, if they trade with you for that reciprocity, if they offer you something for it, then fine. But if they don't, try to let people enjoy their lives. Try to let people smile. Sometimes people gonna bump their head and you're gonna see them bumping their head. Just smile. A bump is a bump. You done had bumps in your life and you all right. You ain't nobody ever hurt from a bump. Stay with me, okay? Don't get too deep, because I can too. I can go down a rabbit hole. Wait a minute, what kind of bump do you mean? Because this bump or this bump, because this bump could be terminal. And I do that too. Don't do that on this. Try. But I love life. And most importantly, don't get emotional, Kelly. I love me. I love who I am, and I love how I am. And that's it. I love myself. I love you. Let me know if you guys want to hear anything else. Make sure that you subscribe. All right. Bye.